Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Medieval Dynasty and we're doing it's kind of just a crop guide, but I like to call it a crop rotation guide. So we're going to go through the basic information, then I'm going to show you what's the best sort of rotation depending on your situation for what you should plant at what time of year. So as you can see, we're in winter, not the time of year most people think of planting crops, but you can if you want to. So I'm going to just go through the basic information first. So first of all, there are 8 types of crops you can plant: flax, cabbage, onions, wheat, oat, rye, carrots, and beets. So those are the types of vegetables you can grow. And the growing time for them is as follows. You have flax, cabbage, and onions, which are all one season growing cycle, which means you plant it in one season and you can harvest it the next season. So that could be you plant it in spring and harvest it in summer, you plant it in summer, harvest it in fall, whatever. So those are the one season ones. Then you have the 2 season crops that you can grow, which are wheat, oats, rye, carrots, and beetroots. So those ones are one where you plant it one season and then you harvest it the season after the next. So if you plant it in spring, you harvest it in the autumn. Or if you plant it in the autumn, you harvest it in spring. Like that. And then there is one that's also a 3 season one, which is wheat. And that one is only 3 season one if you plant it one way out of 2. One way you plant it, it's a 2 season, and the other one, it's a 3. That one's a 3 season if you plant it in the autumn, because then you can't harvest it again until next summer. So it's a long growing cycle. So that's how long each one takes. As far as when you can plant them, some of them can be planted 2 different seasons, some can only be planted 1 season. That goes as follows. The ones you can plant in the spring are wheat, oats, flax, carrots, cabbages, beets, and onions. You can only plant 1 type in the summer, and that's cabbages. You can only plant 2 types in the autumn, and those are wheat and rye. And you can only plant 1 type in the winter, and that's carrots. So if you're very strategic about it, you can grow. Now, obviously, you can have quite a few fields, so if you wanted, you could have 1 field for each crop type and just dedicated to that. So whatever time of year it is, that's your carrot field. If you can only grow carrots 2 times, you could have carrots growing on permanent rotation on that one, and you could have one where it's just wheat. You can do that. But if you want to try to utilize just a few fields, because it takes a long time to plant and harvest and all that sort of stuff, so you don't want to be spending all your time doing it. If you want to try and rotate, you can be strategic and grow most of the crops with 2 fields. Because there are different types of year, so if you're rotating effectively, you can grow basically all of them. With that in mind, there's basically 2 ways that I look about what's the best crop rotation. And so you have your low maintenance, which is where you're using the field all the time. So you're not, wasting it, you're gaining that XP, you're making money off it, you're producing enough food for your community, but it doesn't take all of your time, because agriculture can take a significant investment as far as time goes in this game. So that's the low maintenance one. Or you have the max utilization one, which is where you're a farmer, you're working these fields as much as you can. So I'm working under the assumption that we're trying to utilize each field to the fullest extent. And so the best way you can do that is planting something 3 out of the 4 seasons, because that way each season you're planting something and each season you're harvesting something from all your fields. And so the best way to go about that, starting in the spring, would be to plant onions or flax. And now onions is going to be more food supply. That's going to be where you're going to get your food for your settlement or for cooking more advanced dishes, that sort of stuff. Or you could do flax, which is a better money-making method, because if you get flax, you thresh it out, you save enough to replant your fields, and then you sell the rest of the flax seeds, and that's going to make you a lot of money. And then you can make flax, or you can spin the flax into linen thread, weave that into linen cloth, and make a bunch of money selling that. So it's a great way to make money doing flax. That can only be planted in the spring, and it can be harvested in the summer. Then in the summer, you only have 1 option for what you're going to plant, and it's going to be cabbage. Cabbage is another one where it's going to supply a lot of food for your settlement, which is good. That'll be harvested in the fall, and then you can plant rye. And so if you plant rye, it takes 2 seasons to grow, so you won't plant anything in the winter, and you can harvest it in the spring. Alternatively, you could also get around this by just having multiple fields. Because if you have multiple fields, let's say you have 2 fields that you're rotating on, you could do the onion or flax in the spring, cabbage in the summer, rye in the fall in 1 field. And then in field 2, you could have nothing planted in the spring, cabbage planted in the summer, nothing planted in the fall, and carrots planted in the winter. And so you're going to be doubling up on cabbage, but you'll also be eating carrots if you want to make stew. But like I said, that gets more complicated. The best way to go for max utilization to really get your best bang for your buck out of your field is that onions are the flax in the spring, cabbage in the summer, rye in the fall, nothing in the winter. Now, alternatively, if you want to go to your low maintenance, so like I said, you're using it, you're making money, you're feeding your settlement, but it's not taking all your time, which is where I'm at in the game. For that, you're going to want to do your spring. Your spring crop is going to be beetroots or carrots. And the reason you do that is because it's a 2-season one, so you don't have to plant anything in the summer, and you just harvest that in the fall, and you can plant a whole bunch of them, get a whole bunch of food, you can make better dishes with it, whatever, that's up to you, but it's going to supply you with food. And then in the fall, when you harvest your beetroots or your carrots, you plant your rye again. And then you can just do nothing during the winter and harvest your rye in the spring. So that way you're only doing 2 crop rotations a year. That's going to give you a lot more free time to do other stuff. So those are basically your 2 ways to go with your crop rotations. Like I said, you can really do whatever you want. You can put as many fields out there. You can plant whatever you want. You could plant all 7 of your things in spring, so you could have 7 fields and do all that, or you could do, split your fields in half or whatever, but you could do every single thing in spring, plant your cabbage in the summer. You can also plant your cabbage in the spring, though, and harvest it in the summer, so you can go cabbage a lot. And then you could plant wheat and rye during the autumn, and you could save a couple fields to plant your carrots during the winter. You could do all that if you want. But the rotations that I talked about are the most efficient way to do it. As far as money making goes, because I know everyone likes to tie it back into money making, the best way to make money from agriculture, there's 3 ways basically to make money, and in order they go like this. The lowest one, it's a good way, but it's slower than the other 2, is to grow your either cabbages or carrots, and then get enough meat to make stew or pottage, and then sell the stew or pottage, because you're going to make I think it's 9 gold for the stew and 9 gold for the pottage, I think, profit for either one of those selling those. So it's not a bad way to go doing that. Then the next best way to make money through agriculture will be to grow anything that you can make flour out of. And so that's going to be your oats, your wheat, or your rye. And the wheat yields the most flour per wheat grain, or like rye grain. The wheat gives you more flour per unit, but it also takes an extra season longer to grow. So if you want to do flour sales, that's a good way to go, but baking it into anything is going to slow down your gains. So if you want to make money from any sort of grains, you're just going to want to sell the flour straight up. But the all-time best way to make money off of agriculture, and it's only 1 season out of the year you can do it, but it's going to be that flax. My recommendation would be have a couple fields, nice big fields like this one you see here on the screen, this one right here, and you plant all of them up with flax in the spring. You're going to harvest it all in the summer, and then you can plant either cabbages in the summer or something like wheat or rye or something in the autumn, and still get your utilization out of all your fields. But if you want to make money out of it, plant everything in flax in the spring, take all that down, spin it into thread, make that into linen fabric, and sell that fabric. You're going to make money faster than you know what to do with it. So that's kind of agriculture in this game in a nutshell. As far as storing food goes, most of your food items don't actually last that long. I think fresh vegetables last 3 seasons if you keep them in your food storage building, less if you keep them in any other chest or your inventory. So you don't really need to stockpile a ton of food. If you've got like 1,000 carrots, which honestly, if you've got a field like this and you harvest it, I think you get somewhere between like 700 and 1,000 carrots. It's a lot. Your village, even if you've got like 25 people in it, won't eat that many carrots in a season, especially with everything else that gets put in that storage chest. So you really don't need to grow giant things of food. But yeah, so I hope this guide is useful for anyone out there that wasn't exactly sure how best to use their fields, or anyone that was kind of curious about how to make money off of agriculture. So that's all we're going to say for today. I hope you enjoyed it, but we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.